everyone, so I'm going to be doing a video today on Harriet Tubman. Actually, it's November 14th and I'm intentionally pre-recording this for Thanksgiving because I've been thinking for the past couple weeks, probably since like the beginning of November, like right before November, I'm like, whom am I thankful for? And I'm like, I don't have mentors in my life, and even growing up I never had mentors. Like there were some teachers that I felt were like safe havens for me, but I didn't necessarily admire them in the sense of like someone that I would want to emulate my life after or anything like that. Until I started thinking, I'm like, you know who I really loved? Maya Angelou. I loved Harriet Tubman. I was very fascinated by Betsy Ross. There's something very peculiar about her that I find very interesting. Probably like scientists, like there's female scientists that I admire, but I can't think of any specific names. It just so happens they're women, I guess. So Harriet Tubman, I feel I have a very special connection to psychically, in the sense that, well, I'll tell you the story. So when I was really little, we were learning about slavery, we're learning about the Underground Railroad. Here comes the story about Harriet Tubman. And as soon as I heard her name, I had this vision of this black woman in the middle of the woods. She was like covered in dirt, and she looked back at me. She was several feet ahead, and she looked at me and she was smiling, and she's ushering me forward like, come here, come here, come here. She's not saying it, but she's motioning like, come here. And so I go forward towards her, and I feel safe. I feel comfortable. I can feel the sense of wonder coming off of her. She's a woman who never, no matter anything that happened, just that's who she is. She just has this sense of wonderment and excitement for the world and mystery of the world that she just wants. She's eager to learn and she's eager to know. And it's very childlike in the sense that it's just pure. It's pure and it's beautiful. And so I go towards her and she stops me, or I kind of naturally stopped, but you could tell she was going to stop me. And she starts, it's kind of implied to listen to her, I guess. I don't know if there was any movement. I can't remember, like any motioning. But then she puts her hands to her mouth and she starts making owl sounds. And I was so excited. I'm like, whoa, like how is she doing this? It sounds so real. And then she does it, and then she motions her hand to her ear, and she's like basically telling me like, listen. And then not that long after, I can hear more owl sounds. And those owl sounds, for a split second, like a millisecond, I thought it was a person. Now I was like, no, there's no way it's a person. Like, it's definitely an owl. And it sounded like if it was a person, it sounded like a man at first, like just a tiny second. But then, as I learned about her, I don't know if we learned this in school, but somehow I ended up finding this out. I learned about that she used to do that. That's her mode of communication as she would travel through the woods, is to teach other people to make owl sounds. And she was she was a practiced outdoors woman. She's just fantastic in every kind of way, I believe. And I don't know, I find that so fascinating because at the time, like for me, what I feel is like a lot of psychic children don't realize they're psychic, right? And sometimes with societal conditioning or whatever, you kind of tell yourself that the kid has an active imagination, which could play in for some kids, obviously, and probably some parts of my life as well growing up. But that always stuck with me because I had known that before I had known anything about her other than her name, and I felt this deep connection to that experience. Like, it definitely felt like her spirit was around. It feels like everything in the world, like present day, is embellished in her spirit, or like her spirit is embellished in everything in the world, I guess would be a better way of saying that. It's like nature, the breeze, like everything feels like there's a part of her that's surrounding and swirling around. And it's my belief that she's not an ascended master. She's not you know, some higher, like, elevated soul or spirit. I really feel like she's some sort of divine angel. Like, she is some angelic being, I'm stuttering now, a divine intervention that had happened that maybe not so much is represented in our historical text as that. You know, we look at people, the only example I can think of, because of what I am familiar with, is Jesus Christ as being a savior. And I feel Harriet Tubman was a savior, very similar in that it's like God realized, right? Like, Jesus is God realized. This is my psychic opinion, so this might seem sacrilegious to some people. I have pre-recorded videos, FYI, that are going to be released that go into this, and I'm fully acknowledge and aware of my ignorance when it comes to religion and even historical texts. I explain that in those videos as well, but just putting that disclaimer out there, so if someone feels any kind of way about it. But I do feel like she was ushered in as a very pure, elevated, angelic being, incarnated into a human body. Now, why that happened, we can try and get into a little bit more. I think, yeah, the obvious reasons, but I do feel that it goes into a deeper level, okay? And I'm starting to get information I'll get into, but I need to back up a little bit. So, I don't know if I learned this in school or not, that her real name starts with an A. I have it pulled up because I'm going to explain. So, it starts with an A, and her last name is Ross Araminta. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. Araminta Ross. Okay, so what I did was, when I was thinking about Harriet Tubman, I was like, I just wanted to see her, I guess. Like, I wanted to see what she looked like again, like, as a photo. And so this is what I pulled up, which was on Wikipedia. And so that's why I saw her last name Ross, and where she's from, Maryland. And then I scrolled down a little bit because I was wondering if she had children, because I could feel this deep connection to children and how much she loved children, how she was so good with kids. And then I saw that she was married to a Tubman, Anna Davis, and she adopted a child. So, as you guys know, I mentioned Betsy Ross as someone that I find very fascinating. I would urge you guys to look into Betsy Ross. I don't know what information necessarily is out there, but just like, even just glossing over it, right? Like, who is Betsy Ross? And she's associated obviously with George Washington. She's the person who created the flag. So George Washington shows up at her house, and she's like, they have multiple discussions, and he's basically telling her what to do with the flag. Like, you need to do it a certain way, you need to put these things into it, because the flag has some sort of symbolic representation in it that is like connected to the Freemasons, it's connected to some sort of secret society, right? And she is fully aware of this. She is intuitive. I'm not going to say that she's psychic, but she's deeply, deeply intuitive. Even her religion is all about finding the light within yourself, right? Her true religion, because she had to convert over. So she's like, I really don't want to do this, but I'm pushed up against the wall, because here's this major political figure. I'm in a community, or what, like a colony. There's really nowhere for me to go. There's nothing that I can really do, so I'm gonna have to do it anyway. But there was a lot of disagreement about that, okay? But at the end of the day, she can't overstep her boundaries. I feel like the disagreement would have been like her kind of trying to stand her ground, but basically being told, you have no options, you have no choice, you do what I say. And then her slightly making it a little bit more difficult about making the flag and then ending up having to do it. She's under duress, okay? That's all I'm going to say about that. So when I was thinking about Harriet Tubman, before I looked her up on Wikipedia, I kept hearing Ross. Betsy Ross, or Ross. And I'm like, why do I keep slipping up in my head and calling her Betsy Ross when she's Harriet Tubman? I'm like, what am I doing? And then whenever I saw that on Wikipedia, I'm like, no, she's from Maryland, okay? I should look up where her parents are from. She's from Maryland. This happened in Virginia, with Betsy Ross. There's a lot of Rosses up there. The fact that Harriet Tubman's Black, though, and her parents were the Rosses, there must be some sort of slave ownership of a Ross, because normally they take on that last name, right? Like when they're, no, wait a minute. Yeah, see, I don't know, I'm very confused. Okay, so anyway, point is, then I looked over, I have to clear the table. I looked over, this was set off into a different place, so I'm telling the story as if it's so convenient, or it's like obvious, but it's really not obvious. My freaking Freemason Bible was over there. Just make a crazy circumstance. Like, how would she ever see that Bible, okay? Because that's how it happened. I swear. And I'm like, Freemason, George Washington is one of the founders of Freemasonry. And I'm like, I freaking knew it. I freaking knew it. I freaking knew it. Okay, so there's some sort of connection there, okay? And basically, I think this is my theory that I'm theorizing right now, is that Harriet, okay, I'm being told no. Never mind. Never mind, I'm wrong, possibly. Okay, so then there's a chapter in here that I was being pulled to. Okay, it's page 225. I don't know if all the Bibles are, probably not. It's the 2 Samuel from chapter 19, 17, all the way to chapter 26. And I'm being pulled like somewhere around here mostly. So if it's like chapter 19, 20, 21, 22, possibly down to 27th, and then maybe somewhere like chapter 19, 38 to 40. And then, I don't know if I can find this page again. The other page that let me move this from, look at it. Any hoodles. That's George Washington, if you didn't see. Okay. And then I got pulled to this page. And I'm like, the Eastern Star is for the women. That's a women's branch. Oopsies. Okay. This page, if you want to pause it. This is the other page. And it's the memorial in Washington. I don't know. Y'all might be like, where is she going? I don't know where I'm going with this, okay? I'm just telling you what I saw. Okay. So, back to Harriet Tubman. So, that's the thing is, or even when I say Harriet Tubman, it feels like she doesn't identify herself as that, or it's almost a disconnect is how I'm feeling. It's like who I really am is Ross, Miss Ross, A. Ross. And I'm going to say A because I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. It's like, that's who, so I don't know, maybe we learned this in school, but like why she would identify herself as Harriet Tubman, like maybe she had to change her name as like an escapee. I don't know, but it's mostly being pulled towards her birth name. But I'm going to refer to her as just she from now on, but I just wanted to point that out. So her personality that I've gathered from just picking up on it is she's the kind of person that you would really enjoy having at a party, okay? Because she's a wonderful hostess, to the point that like you would feel, oh well, inviting her, like, you know that your friends and everyone would be taken care of around her. Like, just not her going above and beyond and like catering to people, but just her personality of like being inquisitive and getting along with everyone and genuinely wanting to get to know other people, being really good with kids. It's like having your favorite auntie around. Like, you know that she's just a natural, the way that she moves around a crowd, the way that she can connect with all kinds of people from all different backgrounds. She's just very good conversationalist, and she's genuine about it. She's a very genuine woman, and that's her personality. That's how she is. And what I see, it actually reminds me of Thanksgiving, where it's like everyone has the day off and you're supposed to be with your family, and it's like you have the get together, you're eating, you're enjoying it, and you take the party outside where all the kids are running around, they're playing in the woods and all this, and she's outside with them and she's playing with them and she's in the woods and she's learning things from them, and she's also teaching them. It's like it's not that she doesn't feel like she's an adult. She's very mature and responsible, but she sees everyone as equals. It doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter your background, nothing. You are my equal, and just as you maybe aren't here on earth as long as I am because you're a kid, you still have different experiences and you can see things from a different perspective. So if you have something to tell me or you have something to teach me, by all means, I'm an open book and I'm willing to learn from that, you know? Like, maybe there's something that I can become better at because of what you're telling me. And she finds children to be very profound. She finds children to be very, like they're the catalyst for introspection because of the way that kids question things and the way that kids are eager to know, and like they cause you, if you're willing and open, to question yourself and to question the things that you do and the conditioning that you may have created or that society has created in your life. And I'm seeing butterflies. I'm seeing the word change, and the word change is moving. Like, if you could see, I'm seeing the word change and it's moving, and then I saw the word wind and it was moving. And the way that they move is, if you could see the spores of a mushroom, the mushroom spores, if you see it in light, like if you see a light shining on it and it twinkles like glitter, and it's just swirling around and it's mystifying and beautiful and surreal. It seems surreal, but in reality it's like this emphasis on the fact that nature and our lives, like I'm hearing the word creatures, and like earth is more surreal than anything we can create, is what she's saying. And there's an emphasis that she's pointing towards with nature and how we should appreciate and we should discover more about nature. She's very connected to nature. I think that's it's almost as if she's saying, like, if none of this occurred, like if all of the things that I was doing were an issue, like I would have been a naturalist. I would have been someone who like really spent all my time doing that. So it's pointing to the fact that she used her passions, things that she really adored about life. Like it's like an appreciation for the world. Like she feels appreciative that she got to experience Earth and that it's like it's fun for her. Like that was really fun for her, and she used what she found interesting and fascinating to help other people. But again, it's like this disconnect. It's like me helping other people was my mission. Like that was my mission. But the naturalist part of me was what I found fun and fascinating. Because I don't feel like she's here. I don't feel like she ever incarnated here again or anywhere else. It kind of just feels like she is. Like she's this powerful spirit. She's this powerful being, angelic being. And it was like a segment of her, a fragment of her that she pieced out into Earth in order for her to help everyone. It feels like it's like the breaking out of something to do. It's originating. She's pulling me back to Freemasonry. She's pulling me back to England, actually. She's pulling, or somewhere like overseas from the US. It's like she's pointing me back there and how it originates from there. And so she was intervening. It was like a divine intervention where like they were spiraling out of control. Like this society, this secret society, this powerhouse that was looking for mass control were achieving it. And she's saying like the world was enslaved. It wasn't just those people. It's not just the slaves in America. It's like she's saying that this was symbolic of the world being enslaved at the time. And so the freeing of them was a symbol of what's happening globally at the time. It was like a freeing of the mind. She was freeing people's minds because they were being enslaved. They were being entrapped. And I asked her, like, did someone tell you, like, as an angel before she incarnated here, in order to do the underground road, all this, it's like, did someone tell you to do this? And she said no. Like, no. Like, that's how she talks. It's like very sweet. It's like, no one told me to do this. And even her voice, like, I don't know, she says baby a lot, like baby, like just a term of endearment. So it's like, baby, come here, let's talk. Baby, what's wrong? Like stuff like that. Like that's the emphasis that I'm hearing is something like a term of endearment that she would use often towards everyone. That's kind of disarming, which is pretty much her personality in general, is like disarming to the point that you let your guard down, and what's invited into like your beneath the walls, you know, you have your walls up, and when she gets you to get your walls down, like what's invited into like the house of your soul is the sense of wonderment and appreciation for the world in like a new lens, like seeing everything really for its natural beauty. You know, it's almost like everything's so fast paced, everything's so like created, everything's created is kind of what she's saying. It's like there's so much creation, like human made creation. And so it's tuning out from all the creations that you find interesting and finding that appreciation in nature. I think there's a big emphasis on that. Just ask you, like, if you could say anything to us, what would it be? Like, if you could say anything. Realization, the answer is here. Take heed. nurture, Archangel Gabriel, as you nurture a child, you nurture your own inner child. Both activities are important right now. Moon cycles. Notice how the moon affects your energy and manifestations, and capitalize upon these cycles. We have your calling. Your life's purpose is an awakening to put your gifts and talents to good use and enjoy the journey of life. And nurturing. Didn't we? Oh, nurture. Yeah. Gaia, Mother Earth, right here. And I was actually looking at this card while I was pulling right here, because I feel like there's this recognition that she wants everyone to pay attention to, which is like who you are right now. Recognize the layers of love that are holding you, because oftentimes with a lot of people we feel very alone, or we feel like we're in this on our own, or we're kind of focused on like the relationships around us, and sometimes those can feel isolating. And so she's saying how there's just layers and layers and layers of angelic presence that are surrounding us. It's not just your experience seeing your relationships around you. It's not just the spirits, if you feel intuitive and you can feel the way people feel about you. It's not just that, but there's like your guardian angels. And among the guardian angels, there's more angels. And among those angels, there's more angels. And it just keeps growing and growing and growing. It's like you're safe in our arms. You're safe to rest. You're safe to feel safe. I'm hearing like everything's gonna work out. That's kind of what she's saying. Everything's gonna work out. I know because the flowers are exotic on this, but that's something that I'm hearing too, is just the word exotic, and I don't quite grasp what that means. It's kind of like, it points me towards the stars though. It's like charting the sky and charting the stars, and how like it's distant, but also something that you can connect to and that you can use for your own benefit, like, but in a positive way. Like, maybe it's saying like, you know, with the answers being here and taking heed, it's like paying attention. Like with the stars, they're all communicating to you. Nature's communicating to you. Your guardian angels, everyone's kind of working in tandem, right? And so maybe if you slow down, you'll actually be able to hear the calling of your soul, or you'll be hear the calling of your guardian angels, or even of her. It's kind of like this message that I hear of like, when you hear the calling of the owl, you know that it's me, kind of thing. So we have moon cycles, your calling, nurturing. Honestly, it just feels very repetitive to me of what I said, and just like who she is, where she's from. And it's also figuring out what your calling is. Like, what is your passion? Where do you feel that you can enjoy life? And how can you put that into play with what your soul's mission here on earth is? Like, identify what your soul's mission is. Take time to slow down and to talk to yourself and find those answers within yourself of what your mission is. And identify and compartmentalize what it is that you truly desire and what you truly enjoy doing, and see how that how that can, I don't know how that can benefit you, I guess. And I'm just being drawn to the artists, what am I trying to say? The art on here. It's like I see all the butterflies and the animals and how it's just kind of, it almost feels like it's rushing into Earth. That's what it feels like. It's like an overload of angelic presence. Maybe she's indicating like that's what's, like that's something about something that's going to be happening, like that's what's happening or that has happened. It kind of ties into some of the readings that I haven't released before with Eazy-E. But then I can see it on here where it's just, to me, it's connecting to her crown of flowers. I'm not sure. And there's also an emphasis on being different. Well, this is the one that fell just as I said that, so I think this is exactly what I was going to say. It says, courage, dare to be different, to make mistakes, create, for it is in creation that you exist. In this world of dreams that stem from the eternal heart, you are one with all creation. All is possible. Go forth and be true to yourself, for it is only through being true to you that you can be true to others. That said it a lot more eloquently than I would, so I'll just leave it at that. And hopefully this brings something to you guys. I wasn't sure what direction this was going to go. Just want this to focus, and then I'll shut the camera off. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.